I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First on our agenda is Jesse Gilley, Marshall Stark Development Center. All right. Nathan.
Good evening, everybody. You should have my report in front of you, starting with updates on the courthouse project. We are starting with finances. We are deep enough into the project that I've been able to move a little bit of money out of some other line items that will not require their full allocations, which has allowed me to shore up our owner's contingency, which has a current balance of $177,354.02, approximately 23% of the starting amount. We have approximately 23% of the project timeline remaining. Ton and Blank's contingency has a balance somewhere between $250,000 and $300,000 out of an original total just shy of $450,000. Any questions on the numbers? Moving along to change orders. Since last reporting to the board via email, I've approved one additional change order under my threshold, $65.94 and 74 cents in total to install a heater in the mechanicals room. Historically, this was not necessary because of the amount of heat that radiated from the boilers, but the new system is so efficient with new insulation on all of the ductwork that it won't keep the space warm enough. This is simply one of those issues where when we completely overhauled the HVAC scope to get the project within budget parameters, it was just overlooked. I have one change order for the board's consideration this evening in the amount of $13,343.93 plus $1,243.42 in Luminance fees. Change order 75 covers the cost of painting the covers on our existing baseboard heaters throughout the building. In many parts of the building where we have installed new baseboard, there are obviously new baseboard covers. These are the ones that were in place, scratched up, rusted, off-white, dingy, etc., and they would be painted to match the new ones.
Good. I'll make a motion to approve the change order for $13,343.93 plus $1,243.42 in design.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Moving on to progress updates. We have finalized our furniture plans, and our consultants have placed the order, other than a few things that just got tweaked at the last minute, but that is all lined up, ready to go. We are substantially under where we thought we would be on the budget, which means, as I noted before, we were able to move a little bit of that into our contingency, and also to leave a cushion in case once everything has been installed, we realize, oh, we need one more seat in this room, or the auditor needs a little more file storage, and so on. So we've got plenty of cushion in that. The installation we expect to start installing in mid-June as most of the rest of the project work winds down. The roofing subcontractors have finished their metal work and reinstalling slate tiles that were removed. All that remains of their scope is washing the roof, which began this morning. The masons have reached the point in their exterior work at which they have been conducting their internal punch list review. Obviously, the architects will come and do an official punch list review at the end of the project, but they have their own checks and balances within their work. With window repair underway and nearing completion, the painters have begun tackling the windows along with the rest of the exterior painting now that the weather is starting to cooperate. Carpet installation will begin tomorrow. Paving is expected to take place in late May or early June, and that is parking area and little drive between Howard's and the Justice Center, and finishing the work on Meridian Street so that it won't have the weird elevations, bump in the middle of the road, etc., and the temporary yellow guardrails will be able to come down. We have started reviewing landscaping plans for implementation in June. Because of some changes to the utilities locations, we actually ended up with some plants proposed that we will no longer need. So we've been looking at shifting that around to add a little bit more of a more robust landscaping package that exists for appearances and not just to hide mechanicals. Any questions on the courthouse project? So it's 13 million and change, all in. Oh, my threshold. Sorry. I want to say somewhere around 10 grand, 9 grand. It's a percentage, so as we spend down, it gets lower and lower. All right, quick update on our website rebuild. I had updated you a bit at the February joint session. Crane and Gray is finishing up the last round of changes, and I will soon have access to the back end. Once they've granted me those permissions and I've had a chance to familiarize myself with any features that are different from the current version of the platform, we'll be ready to go live. And at that point, the existing website will remain live, but locked behind a password. It's my understanding that the website in its current state may need to be accessed regarding ongoing litigation. We obviously do not want to have two competing county websites on the internet. So the existing one will still be there and locked up until any litigation that requires access to it has been settled and it can be removed entirely. That also means that I'll have some time to go between the two if I find that in their work, obviously there are some things that have been uploaded to the website since they did all the document transfer, to make sure that I can still access and know what it is instead of just going through my files on my computer and hoping to guess right. So that should work out nicely.
Nathan, just a question. When did this website rebuild begin?
About a year ago.
That's all?
Maybe 15 months ago.
Okay. So the minutes that were never uploaded to the website were not as a result of just that, because those go all the way back to 2022. So
yes.
Okay, just confirming. Thank you.
Broadband planning. As you know, we have spent a lot of time throughout the last couple of years in the county discussing broadband issues, how to connect parts of our community that are not served. In December, county was awarded a community development block grant, planning grant through Okra and Kirpsey, and we hired Kimley Horn to develop a broadband plan for us. Right now, they are conducting a survey of Pulaski County residents to capture a picture of the various issues and concerns residents, particularly in underserved and unserved areas of the county. So highest speed they have access to, if the high speed that they do have access to is unreasonably costly because it's not fiber and it's Starlink or another satellite provider that is not governed by the same rules and has a different technology behind it. That survey will be live through Friday, so any residents who want to make sure their voices are heard and haven't had the chance yet, if you go to gov.pulaskionline.org, you can find it in the bottom menu of the website. It has also been shared a couple of times on the county's Facebook page, the CDC's Facebook page, and I'll probably share it once more to those pages. But it'll be live through Friday. And as of late last week, they had about 200 responses. Leanne Wright, Kurt Dickey, and Kurt is the chair of our broadband task force. We will be reconvening the task force to meet with Kimley Horn in the near future. I'm going to ask, and we don't have to make that decision tonight unless you want to have one of our commissioners step in to replace Chuck Mellon on the task force, and a council member to step in to replace Kathy Thompson. I'm not sure if we had many meetings since she went off where we needed a council member to join, but for this, I would like one of the council members and one of the commissioners to be available if the date works. Leanne, Kurt, and I have had a few virtual meetings with USDA rural development personnel. As you may remember, the foundation also secured a grant for us for broadband planning. The parameters of that program are a little bit broader than the CDBG, so we are waiting to see where things actually land with the finished product from Kimley Horn before deciding how to allocate the USDA money to make sure that we don't have any redundant costs and are able to stretch that money as far as possible. Any questions on broadband? All right, housing. Sullivan Developments contractors are making good progress at Willow Creek Villas there on East Albeth Drive. The clubhouse building at the southwest corner of the property, which will contain 2 apartments on the 2nd floor, and the south central cluster, which will host 8 units. Both have been shingled, and the northwest complex, which also will host 8 units, is in the vertical construction stage. Signage about registering for the wait list will be up soon if it hasn't already been placed, and we have shared that contact information on Facebook. And the appraisals we need to complete before we can potentially move forward with the proposed ready funded workforce housing catalyst project are currently underway.
Can you explain that?
Which one?
The ready
So
funded workhouse?
that is the state's Ready 2.0 regional approach grant program. We have $1 million tentatively allocated to us to put towards a public-private match project that would construct market rate houses, but so not the subsidized houses like on Galbraith Drive, but with a little bit of a lower price point targeting like blue collar workforce, hoping that as runnability and other factories grow, they're able to attract more of their new and existing workforce instead of having them commute from Knox or Rochester or Logansport, et cetera.
So this isn't a sliding scale.
No, this one will
No.
be just market rate, and there'll probably be some
Okay.
different price points within that range, but
I think I saw that.
they'll largely be targeted towards the either starter home level and working class family homes.
Okay, thank you.
Industrial park. We have a party that is fairly seriously interested in acquiring some of the remaining county-owned industrial park land. I don't know yet if they want some or all of the 10-acre parcel, some or all of the 26-acre parcel, or all. That's still to be determined. But once the statutorily required appraisals have been completed, one of them has been, the other is underway, and once I have them, I will convene the Advisory Commission on Industrial Development, and we'll proceed with working with the commissioners to advertise for bidders pursuant to the statutory guidelines. Then a couple of generic CDC updates beyond the Industrial Park Board and those things. Redevelopment Commission has held 2 meetings to discuss brainstorming and visioning. We have a handful of ideas that we'll continue exploring, but I want to mention one this evening. As you may recall, in December at the joint session, Claude Lemire presented his idea for a facade grant program that he envisioned starting in Winnemac and then expanding through Pulaski County. Independently of this, Francisville's Uptown project and Redevelopment Commissioner Isaiah Tidwell in one of our brainstorming meetings have proposed similar programs. I have spoken with Isaiah. I've spoken with the Uptown project and Main Street Winnemac, and we are interested in pursuing the possibility of establishing a county-wide program that would be managed by the Redevelopment Commission through my office. We would partner with the Main Street programs for building applications in downtown Winnemac and Francisville. And I don't know if in Monterey and Madeiraville we would partner just directly with the town councils or some other agency. But instead we wouldn't shove them out. We would just ask them to be part of like the review committee, but we would manage it through our office so that we could make it a truly countywide program. We're nowhere near ready to implement the program. A lot of mechanics to figure out, a lot of rules, pick up where Claude had left off, revise it to make sure it makes sense at the county level, and so on. But I think that down the road, for a relatively small initial investment, the county could begin making use of solar project economic development payments in a way that could visibly improve our communities without costing the taxpayers, especially the next few years as we sift through the probable impacts of SB1.
Yeah. Can I ask Nathan? Well, go ahead. You've got a little more on that.
That's fine. The next is another commission. So if you want to ask that before I go into the economic development commission,
Okay.
that's fine.
In regards to solar money that's going to be coming in, and I know there's a separate fund that I saw it's going into the 1,000 budget, which I'm assuming is general fund, but then under that, there will be a separate category for violation fees, right? As far as the money, the other money that's coming in, are we going, because this has been talked about, are we going to have a committee with stakeholders in Pulaski County who will help decide where those monies are going to be used?
I think ultimately that's probably at the council's discretion as the fiscal body. I think it's a good idea. But I think that's probably ultimately their decision, whether they want to have a formal committee, whether they want to be that committee and just seek input from the public, from stakeholders.
Mhm.
But that's probably going to be up to them at the end of the day.
Okay. Okay. And I'm just asking because you're kind of,
Yeah. If
Kind of
anything, I'm
pointing
trying to get
this.
that conversation started.
right. And then again, when we get to the
Yep.
daycare, but I just want to make sure that there is involvement. I mean, I think there should be if the entire community is impacted by solar projects, then the voice of where that money gets spent, because I do believe it should go to improve the quality of life
Agreed 100%.
for everybody in the community. And I would like to see a broader group of stakeholders that have input when it comes to where that money should be spent. So my 2 cents, and I hope that we can get that.
I think
And
that's-
maybe council can talk about that tonight.
I
You
think
know,
I
what
would
do you
probably
think?
suggest that some of that the council might want to set aside for any gaps in operational costs, that sort of thing, some in savings. But I think at least a portion of it should be a yes. 100%.
Okay. Okay, council, I'm throwing that on you.
Economic Development Commission, mostly just in a holding pattern. The two primary responsibilities they have, unless and until any projects requiring bonding might come about, are the revolving loan fund once it's reopened and tax abatement requests. So they're just kind of chilling. Tourism Advisory Council is finally making some progress on developing our tourism strategic plan, which will be presented to all of you for input and for public review once the TAC has approved the draft version and before the final version is adopted. We're also wrapping up our marketing budget spending plan, and we'll be hiring a local marketing consultant to assist us in maximizing the effectiveness of our social media marketing. Any questions on that stuff?
Does that spending, or for the marketing consultant, is that coming out of your tourism budget? That's where that's coming from. What is your tourism budget right now?
$40,000.
Okay.
And then you should all have seen invitations in your email for this event. But I want to reiterate that we would love to have as many of you as possible join us at the 2025 Economic Development Summit, be held at the Knights of Columbus Hall here in Winnemac at 6:00 p.m. on Tuesday, the 29th. Catering will be provided by former revolving loan fund borrower Sandy Saltzman of Meadow Springs Manor, and our guest speaker will be Stephanie Wells, president of the Indiana Fiscal Policy Institute. I ask that if you haven't already, you email me your intent to attend no later than next Wednesday, the 23rd. Last thing is childcare funding. As I assume you're all aware, childcare accessibility is becoming increasingly urgent, not just here, but everywhere. It's a sufficiently critical matter that we included it in our economic development strategic plan in 2021, but I have been fortunate enough not to have to allocate too much of my time to local efforts thanks to the community foundations having taken this proverbial bull by its horns. You may also be aware that a private foundation recently acquired the former St. Francis Solano Catholic Church in Francisville and is converting it into a child care facility, which will be operated by a separate nonprofit agency focused exclusively on providing daycare services. The property owning foundation is leasing the facility to the operators for a nominal fee, if not entirely free of charge. Grant funding has already been allocated to this project, and they are still in partnership with the community foundation, soliciting contributions to cover costs not by existing grants. The grant from the FSSA covers a lot of costs, but there are some things that are just simply not eligible under that program, and they are filling gaps. Given the importance of childcare to economic development and community well-being more generally, I am this evening requesting that the county contribute $20,000 of solar project economic development funds to the Francisville's Caterpillar Corner project. Precisely that it makes this contribution through the community foundation so that it is eligible for a dollar for dollar match, meaning that the organization would receive $40,000. Spoken with a couple of you. I have spoken with Community Foundation, Uptown Project, Ladybug Foundation. Obviously, they are all enthused for any support they can get. If that's too much of an ask, okay. Like I said, it's in our strategic plan. Improving quality of life is what we're supposed to be using that money for. I think that the county would be well advised to support this endeavor.
Council?
Maybe both. I mean, it's coming out of a fund that probably doesn't have to have an official appropriation made, sort of like our other donation funds. But the council probably would like to have a say in how it's spent since it is the fiscal body. I suppose open discussion to all of you, and if you feel inclined to support at that level or a lower level or a greater level, the final determination, great.
I think we was going to discuss that at the council.
All right, then unless any of you have any questions, that is my lengthy report for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. Judge Coker?
All right, good evening. I'm Judge Coker with Pulaski Superior Court. A couple of things tonight I want to talk about. One of the things that you probably have all been hearing about in the news is House Bill 1144. And that's something that should be very concerning for everyone. House Bill 44 seeks to abolish several courts in our state, most of them small county courts. And the reason that they are looking to do that is to provide further judicial officers for Hamilton County. So by far one of the wealthiest counties that we have in the state of Indiana. And they are going to abolish, I believe that it is 12, it'll be 12 judicial officers affected, but 12 county courts, if I remember correctly. So that is currently, I've been checking in, it's in the Senate right now, going through hearings on second reading. Very likely that that is going to pass. And so unfortunately what that means is that access for individuals in our county will be limited to the courts because everything will move to one court. We've been here before. Previously, I think it was in 2015, I actually went down to the State House and had the opportunity to testify in front of the committee and we got it killed. But this time they didn't allow that. It was something that was sort of a surprise to everyone. So it kind of snuck through the process. The bill was drafted. I think it went in on Thursday night at about 11 p.m. and they have a hearing on it Friday, and then now today it's in the Senate. So very unfortunate. What that means for us locally is our problem-solving courts, so our family treatment court, our veterans court, our drug court that we have worked extensively to put together, the programs that we have, very likely those will go away because we simply don't have the resources, nor will one judicial officer have the time to do that. So it doesn't affect me necessarily. I have to run in 2030 anyway. It won't take effect until that time, but it certainly will affect our county. So if you know any legislators, Charbonneau and Kendall Culp, I think would both be okay with me saying that they're on board. I know Don's talked to them. I've spoken with them several times through the entire weekend. I was texting with Senator Charbonneau this morning. He was very supportive, Reedy Occam's office, and he were very supportive. We have an amendment on file to remove Pulaski County. But it's our understanding that it is going to pass through to conference committee, which means likely it will pass on. So that's what we're looking at. All I can say is that we'll continue to help as many people as we can help in the time that we have to help them. And we'll go from there and we'll figure something else out. So be on the lookout for that. We've worked really, really hard to get us to a point where we are now. And it's really unfortunate that we're kind of getting the rug pulled out from under us, but that's where we are. In other issues, we do have our pretrial grant that we file every year. The pretrial is the program that is required by the state by statute and under Criminal Rule 26. It does require that we do an assessment of any individual who's brought into the jail. We do that within 48 hours, generally within 24 hours if it's not over a weekend. That is completely grant funded, meaning the person who does those assessments, which is Natalia Gebka, currently as our pretrial officer, is paid entirely by the Department of Corrections. So they do request that as part of our grant application that we file a letter just with signatures of commissioners showing support for that. So I'm here today to ask for your support for that grant. I think we are going on 5 or 6 years now with that program. I'm not sure that's been grant funded. We do We do assume that at some point that funding will go away and we'll have to figure out how to fund that. But for right now, we continue to be funded by grants. Any questions on that?
I'll make this official. I make a motion to approve letter of support for the 1006 Community Corrections Justice Reinvestment Grant application for the Pulaski County Pretrial Release Program. Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Being none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Thank you.
Judge, when did you say the last reading is on this?
Very likely tomorrow, I believe. The last read. Let me. That I'm getting updates as we're. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so the sooner you can call. And like I said, calling our other legislators, they're on board. It's if you know any other legislators in other communities. And it's just the fact that we're a small community. We have to take care of ourselves and no one else is going to do it. We've looked at all of these numbers. We have overdose deaths that are close to Marion County numbers per capita. We all know that we have a drug problem. If it goes through, unfortunately, we're going to start sliding back to where we were.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your help.
Sam and Phil for the extension quarterly report.
Hello, Sam Williams, 4-H Youth Educator and County Extension Director. We have a variety of items coming around to you. The first one we want to talk about is our quarterly report. So typically we have put this in your mailboxes, but we wanted to come give an in-person report, offer you an opportunity to ask questions, but feel free to reach out at any time if you have questions. So we'll just highlight a couple of things. So for me, mine was November through January. These are programs that I have done in the school and other places. So I will touch on a couple of those. So one of those is 4-H Discovery Challenge. So this is a new program to Indiana and Pulaski County. I was part of a state team that helped bring this to Indiana. So through this, they are picking a topic, doing research, and then presenting to their classmates, because one of the biggest fears of individuals is public speaking. So we hope to start that early and combat that. So with session 1, we help them pick their topic, narrow their topic, something they're excited about. Second session, we talk about research, how to do good research. We give them some sites to use so they have a starting point. We talk about plagiarism and artificial intelligence a little bit. The third session, we talk about organizing their presentation with their 3 main points and their supporting facts. The fourth session, we talk about visual aids and how those can enhance your presentation. And then the final 2 sessions, they're actually presenting to their classmates. So we've been able to do this we're doing this in 5th grade right now at West Central. We've done it in 5th grade and part of 4th grade at Eastern Pulaski. But the goal, right now it's only available for 3rd through 5th grade. But the goal is to add a grade level each year as they're developing curriculum for it at the state. So next year we hope to get into 6th grade if the schools will have us do that. And then they'll expand to where when they're seniors, they're then doing binders and doing even more research, and it'll add on to it each year. So that's one of the programs we have been doing. Another one that I'll touch on is Captain Cash. So we have done this for many years in the schools. We haven't been in West Central with Captain Cash before. We were able to get into West Central with Captain Cash this year. It is for 3rd grade. So we go in 4 sessions, talk about earning, saving, spending, and borrowing. And each time they go to a different island that focuses on one of those. So kind of teaching them those budgeting skills early in life. So those are just a couple, but if you have questions about those or anything in my report, I'm happy to answer those.
Thank you.
So, Bill Woolery, I'm Ag and Natural Resources Extension Educator. I cover Stark and Pulaski counties. So, mine's the next on that page there. So, some highlights in the wintertime is kind of busy with doing meetings for farmers. So, big thing, the pesticide applicator recertification program, or PARP. So, farmers are able to come to these classes and get continued education to renew their license, so they don't have to take the test again. So over the winter months, I had 9 programs. I did them in 4 4 different counties. And so we had over 200 farmers receive those credits. So a lot of impact there. I talked about some different changes in pesticide regulations, so they're informed on that and what things has happened on that thing. Again, with farmers, we did in March a farm financial training, an all-day training, looking at different financial metrics and how to evaluate that and do some analysis for their operation. So we had 8 participants in the county. Another program we've done is UAV training or drones. So I've been a drone pilot since 2018, and we do a class fairly regularly, help people get prepared for the Part 107 exam to be able to fly legally for commercial purposes. So we've had several people from the county take that class and get their license, be able to use that. Big thing coming up is spray drones. So that's a big thing, and Purdue is working on programs with those as well. So coming up with summer months, a big thing is we do some programs at the Penny Purdue Ag Center up at Wanata. I was up there this morning planting some demonstration plots already. So in August, we have our big Penny Purdue Field Day where we get 350 farmers from around the state come for that big program. So it's a big event. So any questions?
The other 2 things that we gave you, one is just an informational sheet about the different program areas within Extension, and the other one is the 2024 impact report. I wasn't sure if you had received that already or not. There are a couple things in there that Phil and I were a part of statewide on those teams. So Phil was on the Purdue on the farm team, and then I believe there's a blurb about 4-H Discovery Challenge and also 4-H Camp Counselors. So we were a part of those statewide teams. So if you have any questions, happy to answer those. If not, you can email us or stop by the office or give us a call.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jesse, are you here now from the Marshall Stark?
Hi, guys. Sorry for my tardiness. I came all the way from Plymouth and I was driving at a very safe speed, but expeditiously. So many of you might know me from the election board. I served on the election board for the last 6 years. Am a Monterey resident for the last 20 years. So some of you are very familiar, and I'm usually, for many of you, I'm just the loud girl that serves on the election board. So I've recently taken on a new role as Vice President of Mission Advancement for Marshall Stark Development Center. Marshall Stark is an organization primarily located in Plymouth and Stark counties that serves adults with developmental and physical disability. It also has 4 Head Start locations that serve children in lower income families and children that have developmental and physical delay as well. The reason I'm here today is to tell you a little bit about not just what we do, but to make you aware that we're serving members of the Pulaski County community. So as of right now, we have 5 Pulaski County residents that utilize either our day programming, our residential programming, which means they live right here in Pulaski County, and we have staff that comes and assists them daily, or they participate in our Head Start program. So if you don't know a lot about Marshall Stark, it was started in the 60s by a core group of parents actually from Pulaski, Stark, and Marshall counties, as well as Fulton County. They had children with developmental delay that were not permitted to participate in public school system. So they started their own program so that their kids could receive socialization and education before the age of 13, which was the standard back then. After 13, they could go up until the age of 16, and then they were done. There was just no need seen at the time for them to be educated outside of that because they weren't seen as viable members of the community. So Marshall Stark started for children in the 70s. It transitioned to a program for adults as well. And they started the pre-vocational program that had sheltered workshop as well as employment services in the local communities. So we've grown since then. Now we serve over 200 adults daily that come from the four standard surrounding counties. So Pulaski, Marshall, Stark, and Fulton. We also have a total of 8 counties that we provide care or services to individuals in those counties in varying numbers, of course. And that's for a varying number of reasons, right? Most of these counties have their own facilities. ADEC, the Logan Center, we have a facility here in Winnemac. The reason they utilize Marshall Stark is because either they have a family member that works there and they're able to have that care provided by their family member and reimbursed to the family member. So it's a job, and then they're able to receive payment for that while caring for their individual. They Head Start, we have parents that work at our one of our local brick and mortar Head Starts, so either in Knox or Marshall County or something of that nature, or because of the variety of services we offer in the vocational programs that just aren't available at some of their local programming. All of that is, of course, contingent on Medicaid funding, which is a little up in the air right now, but also individual funding by the individual counties. So I'm here today to ask when, not at this moment, it's not a decision I want you to make, but when you're budgeting for your next fiscal year, if you might consider supporting Marshall Stark Development Center in your funding. So we receive varying amounts of funding from the surrounding counties. Most of it is heavily contingent on the number of people that we serve. For that county, it usually averages about $1,200 a person, and that provides a full year of care for them. And that's everything from their daily activities and getting assistance with those, to transportation, to leisure activities. We go to bowling and we take them to the zoo, and we go, some of them like to go to the bar and play pool. So they just want to be integrated into the communities in which they reside in a normal, everyday fashion like you and I. And we want to do our best to provide that experience for them. So having said that, do you have any questions for me about Marshall Stark or the services we provide? No? Nothing? All right. Thank you so very much for affording me the time today. I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank
you
you.
for what you do. Next on our agenda is approval and sign joint meeting minutes from December the 9th, 2024 and February the 10th, 2025. Commissioners, first, have a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept the joint meetings, or joint meeting minutes from 12/9 and 2/10, 24 and 25.
Motion, and we have a second. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll entertain a motion to sign the joint. I'd entertain it. Make it. Okay. A second. Okay, got a motion and a second to approve and sign the joint meeting minutes for 12/9 and 12/10. 2/10. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Under discussion items, if it would be okay with the council, because of time, the commissioners have 2 items to vote on. If we could skip down to the last 2, please. We've been waiting for these from our attorney. The first is a road use agreement ordinance violations. This would permit our sheriff's department to also provide those violations. So if we approve this evening, it will be published in the newspaper for 2 weeks, and then it will go into effect. So we have a motion to approve
And this is for the road use agreement.
road
Yes.
use agreement
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance for road use agreement
ordinance.
ordinance.
We have a motion, a second, to approve the road use agreement ordinance violations for the sheriff department. To do so, it'll be published in the newspaper for 2 weeks. Those, any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Second is a stop sign ordinance for 600 west, 200 north, 500 west, and 100 north. We would approve this tonight. We'd have to wait for 2 weeks to be published in the newspaper, and the stop signs would go out there. There's possibility for other stop signs as well, and there would be a separate ordinance for those as well. So I'll make,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Can I just discuss real quick? Was there a quicker way to get this done, to execute this? Did Mr. Ayler?
What Jacob had said that we needed to just err on the side of caution, we were better off to advertise it after, once you guys approved it.
Okay,
I'm not an attorney, but as I read the code, I don't think you have to wait for 2 weeks to put the signs out. I just don't think that violations can be enforced until after it has been noticed. So you could probably ask highway to put them out so they're there. It's just that prosecutor's office probably couldn't file charges until the notice had run twice.
well,
This stop sign ordinance, the violation, so we could check, thank you, Nathan, we could check with our attorney, and if it's okay, we could go ahead and put those out there.
sooner we can get them out there. I would hate to wait another 2 weeks.
This is just the violation.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the stop sign ordinance for 600 and 200 and 500 west and 100 north.
We have a motion and a second for the stop sign ordinance. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thank you, council. Employee handbook, Mike?
So what this,
I'm not on that.
I had actually contacted council and commissioners both, because we used to have a personnel board, and it was made up of 2 council, a commissioner, the auditor, and the county attorney, so that we could keep our handbook up to date as far as for our employees. So there's a few things. We did back last year, Mr. Tankersley had come up with some stuff that we needed to add to the handbook. And then also, Jenny and I in the auditor's office have been going through the handbook, and there's several things that are just really gray. So in in 2017, the commissioners and council had decided to do this handbook committee, but for some reason it just kind of fell by the wayside. I don't know exactly what's happened, but so to give us a little more, since we don't have an HR department, to give us a little bit more of an idea of how to follow the rules and make sure that we're not doing something we're not supposed to. So I really think that, and several of the people on the council and commissioners thought that it was a good idea to start this handbook committee back up again to try and make sure we're staying on the straight and narrow. So they normally meet quarterly is what they do. It's totally up to you guys, but it's just something we thought would be a really good idea to just keep things on.
I think that's a good idea. How many council you want?
Well, it says 2 council and 1 commissioner on the ordinance that we had back then. And then
Okay.
the auditor and the county attorney.
Sounds good. Who wants to be on it? Now. Brad.
Anyway,
Commissioners.
AJ. Okay for everybody? Thank you
Go ahead.
for stepping up.
Okay.
We could have one more, you know. Wouldn't be a quorum. if Somebody really wants to be on it. Okay, we got 2.
For the grant for part-time engineer and grant ordinance, table that.
I'm going to participate Zoom.
You have Zoom going, Nate? Yeah? No?
Yeah, it'll be live as soon
Oh, it
as
will.
I'm-
Okay. Okay.
Grant for part-time engineer, Mike?
Well, Jay, can you speak for that? Jay is an engineer, used to be on the county council, and get a part-time engineer for, the grant's $40,000, and he could help the building department, the highway department, a lot of other stuff. And it's through the state, but I let Jay explain it.
Yeah, the state of Indiana through NDOT offers a $40,000 grant for a county engineer. The county engineer has certain schedules they have to meet, including they have to be a licensed engineer. It's a matching grant, but the county doesn't have to match 40,000. They can match, I suggested 10,000. And currently I am the LaPorte County engineer, been there 9 years, and they utilize that grant in LaPorte County.
Is it able to do are we able to get you part-time in this county since we're so small?
Yes.
Okay, check on that.
Yeah, I did call NDOT on that and asked them a couple of things. There's also a question on whether that grant could be used for perf, and I haven't got an answer back on that yet, but as soon as I do, I'll let you know. But as the county engineer for LaPorte, you had stop signs, you're talking about that. I write up all the ordinance for those. I have the attorney review it just to make sure everything is legal. In your case, I agree with what you had, the recommendations you made. There are instances, for example, we've got some NDOT detours that go down to county roads, and we can put stop signs there as a safety issue, as the traffic count increases substantially for something like that. I don't know if I guess the main function, according to the NDOT ordinance for the grant, the engineer will be responsible for the bridge asset and the road asset management. Any safety issues on the road, like if you wanted to look at that stop sign, I'd do a road study in that area and determine based on traffic count and whatnot, if there would be, a necessity for a stop sign. I'd bring that recommendation back to the commissioners. Obviously, you can have a stop sign put there if you want, regardless. If you want my recommendation, I've done that for LaPorte County for 9 years. It expanded to, I designed 2 EMS buildings for them. I did 2 big projects. If you've been up there by Love's, all the infrastructure for that, I designed that, got all that permitted through the state, managed that project. Bathroom for the fairgrounds, stuff. It's not limited to highway work. So I think there's other things that I could benefit the county from. So I just talked to Mike about it, and he said, yeah, we might be interested. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, is this a good time to discuss, or?
We haven't really discussed it to council yet. You guys are pressed for time.
Well, that's all. I mean, you can participate through Zoom, correct? Okay.
I'd be okay to, right now, we can discuss it.
Okay. And I'm just going to open up. This kind of hit me out of the blue. This is the first I've heard of this position at all. And I find it unusual that a resident from Pulaski County would just present a job for himself, and without this ever having, I don't know where this even originated, the idea for this position. So I guess that's my first question is, where did this need for this position originate?
Well, I talked to Jay, a lot of counties have a county engineer. Ashland County has one. Fort County has one, so you get $40,000 from the state, and he could help us, and we pay all this money to that BS. I saw them invoices. That's the
It is
county,
BS, right?
solar's supposed to be paying for.
Mm-hmm.
Did see those invoices, and Jay helped us out on that, and then like he could do us a lot of stuff. I don't know if you're against it or for it, but
No,
I just thought it was a good idea because for $10,000, we could get us a county engineer and he could help. He's not here to replace somebody's job. by
Right,
far. I mean,
right.
I talked to Jay about that today. I said, it seemed like the job description Jay said they use up there, reinventing the wheel. And he could help us with that and all the BS and Gary and the community crossing grant. And down in the state, there may be what I read the other day, if you don't have wheel tax, you might not get the complete amount of your community crossing grant.
Mhm.
Well, Jay knows how to do the road studies, and he's an engineer. He's not just and a lot of experience. I don't know, where else have you worked? When he was on the council also for
Yeah.
20
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. And I understand that, Jay, and I know Jay. I mean, you've lived here all your life, but if we're going to do things correctly in the county, like I know all of us want to, this would be a job, I mean, that we would have to discuss. The fact that Jay has presented his own job description is very unusual to me. That the job description would not have been created by someone in our highway department or commissioners or with someone, APC or Carla, building inspector. But a job like that, if we're going to employ somebody through the county, this has to be an advertised position. We have to accept applications. We have to go through an interviewing process. And I feel like, I'm sorry, Jay, but I feel like, Mike, you've taken the liberty to talk to somebody about a position without going through the proper channels to do this. And that to me is unsettling. I mean, we're vetting people for alternates for the APC, but we have nothing yet. So I'm glad we're having a discussion because I would hope that we would back up. And I know just last week we talked about with VS, we're discussing, the need for engineering and all of this. So this, in my opinion, is something that if solar developers and renewable companies should be paying for this, then why aren't the developers paying for this? I'm not sure why we would even entertain $10,000 when we have companies out there that it's in their contracts that they will pay for engineering services. I just feel like this is very premature without, and I'm glad we're having this discussion.
We
I just
have
feel
to
like-
start the ball somewhere.
Exactly. I
mean,
understand that. You started the ball and
I know.
you took it to the field goal though.
Well, I know you
You
sitting here all
crossed the-
day talking
No.
about it.
I'm sorry, but if we're going to do things properly as commissioners and as council, then I think we need to follow protocol. We don't get to pick and choose the rules we follow in the county and the rules we don't. So I say we back this up to the 50-yard line and we start with discussions on, is this needed? Is this something the developers should be paying for? Because I truly believe it's in their contracts that
I don't
they pay
think
for
he wants
this.
to work just for solar, but I don't know. You could ask Jay. You're wanting to do,
It's
you don't do just solar in LaPorte County, right?
Well, this doesn't say anything about solar. This says roads. Right? And Jay, you don't even, I don't want, we don't need to really go any further. Sure. Yeah,
Crossing. Thank you.
right.
Yeah, and the community crossings is brought up. I do that for
Sure.
the county too. That's something that I do for the county. But I understand where you're coming from. Yeah.
Yeah, we
think
need
it needs
to,
to be
I mean, am I
discussed
the only
and
one up
handled
here that
properly.
feels like we really need to be following protocol here in the county that first we decide, is this needed? Then we decide, is there another entity that can pay for this, who should be paying for this? And then when we make that decision, then it is
Well, I didn't want-
advertised and interviewed and,
I don't think we just want hiring enough.
well.
We just want to make the ball roll forward, put it in your ear. Don't be,
Well, no, you put it in my ear, but I feel like it just got shoved down my throat too, which is not a very comfortable feeling to have. This is the first time I have heard of this, and I'm a commissioner. I don't know who else has heard about this, but I feel like I was completely blindsided and I don't appreciate it. So I'm good with, we've had the discussion. I think we need to back up a little bit and decide if it's needed. Like I say, who else could be paying for it, should be paying for it. And then let's go through the proper procedure to hire an individual to work for the county.
sounds like
Anyone
a
else?
great idea. I
Thank you,
think
Mike.
Jay's very qualified.
Jay, you may be the best person for this job.
Well,
I don't want
if
phone
you
calls
decide the job's
asking-
needed, that'd be, that's good. I just wanted to
Yeah,
throw that out there.
yeah,
One thing about paying for it, it has to be paid through the highway department as the matching grant for the 40,000. I don't, let's say Durrell, they couldn't pay match part of
sure.
it. And I wouldn't allow that to happen
Right.
that way. It would have to go through.
Yeah,
Now Durrell or whoever may be able to reimburse the county that way, but it has to come out of the.
right. Well,
highway
and
department for
without
the
Gary
grant.
even, I mean, Gary's not here, is he? Our superintendent for the highway county department's not even here. So I would think he would weigh in heavily and have an opinion long before we are where we are right here in this discussion. You very well could be, Jay, and I know you're an excellent engineer. You could very well be the best person for this. But I know that after tonight's conversation, I'm going to get phone calls saying, what just happened at that commissioners meeting? And why weren't the steps followed? And I have to answer those people. So I'm just representing the county and the questions that I know are going to be brought up after this. So I would much rather just do it the legitimate, accurate, step-by-step way. And I'm sure Mike agrees with that. Yeah, and I know Don would. Don likes to follow the rules too. So Don, wherever you are, I'm speaking on your behalf. You may want to weigh in if you can hear me, but if anybody else wants to discuss, please feel free.
I just want to get the ball rolling. I don't think anybody's jumping on anybody, and I mean, it takes, you guys could appoint somebody. It takes the commissioners to do that, and we have to fund it. So if we don't fund it, I think the council's willing to fund it if you guys are willing to create the position. I was only commissioner a few days.
I think we just need to discuss the position first.
Yeah, and it's your guys' to
Mhm.
create the position, we understand, and we fund it.
Right. This is just, understand, this is the first time I've even heard about
Well, would you
a
entertain
need
even,
for this
would you
position.
entertain even thinking about getting a highway engineer? Or not a highway engineer, a engineer.
County engineer.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, all right, I think, Mike, I appreciate you bringing it up. I appreciate Mr. Sullivan providing the information on it. It's the first discussion. There is no decisions being made. It's the first discussion of it, the first time we've been exposed to it. And I think that we understand people's thoughts on this, and I think it's something for us to consider and discuss in the future. And I believe that, yes, other.
We lost you, Don.
Interesting to me is that what's interesting to me is it can be paid through for grant. This is just the first part of the discussion, and there's no decision going to be made tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Well, you guys move forward and you can move forward as
Yeah.
you need.
Okay, thank you. And Jay, I appreciate you coming and filling us in.
Oh, thank you for the
We just need to
consideration.
back up a little bit.
Yeah, thank you for consideration. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming. Okay, I think, is that all we have?
We've got the grant
Oh.
ordinance as well. There's a grant ordinance that I had sent out to everyone regarding stipulations for, so you know what's going on way before the grant is
Right.
even applied
Do you
for.
need us to vote on that tonight?
Yes, if you'd like to, or you can table, whatever.
You have a
Yeah.
copy of that with you? I've got the other two, but I don't have that.
I think I do. And we could table it for another day. I thought I had it,
Well, that's,
but
if we don't have anybody asking right now for a grant, do we? Okay, we'll
not
just go
for
ahead.
a brand new one or anything.
Let's table the grand ordinance till next meeting. Guess, Commissioner, ready for adjournment then.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the commissioners' meeting.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Oh.
Thank you, Don.
Teresa, whenever you're ready, we're ready. 6 o'clock, perfect timing.